Hello, yes, hello YouTube, it's the great and glorious NickDutch here yet again. And today I'm going to talk a little more about how to experiment with, or to get via some peculiar means, or how some people get this strange state of prayerful reverence, and how some people make it and some people don't. A little bit of background. The time now is 5:30 in the morning, and I'm usually typically in bed by 3 or 4 in the morning. So this is a long shift for me. I mean, I'm normally asleep by now. I get up around about lunchtime, local time in the UK, because I live in the UK. Do some work for the Americans who are having a quick reading before they go to work. Then I do some British work. Then I go and do some American work when they've all come home from their jobs. That's why I'm up at this stupid time in the morning. It's a hard job. Anyway, screw that for the moment. Let's just get back to the subject. Now, a lot of the videos on YouTube are about Christianity. Of course, Christianity is one of the predominant religions within the Western world of America, Britain, Northern Europe, and so on and so forth. The main areas, and of course Australia, the main areas where English-speaking YouTube is going to be seen. So a lot of the arguments are against Christian theology. I mean, a lot of the atheist arguments on YouTube are against Christian theology, rather than the existence or non-existence of anything supernatural, which I find interesting. In the example of Christianity, it is believed that one has to believe in Jesus, the fact that he, was born at a certain time of year, and all the rest of it. That he did all these wonderful miracles, which are pretty mind-blowing, and man, if I could do them as well as him, then I'd be very happy. And then, hey presto, went up into heaven, and isn't heaven a glorious concept? And then as someone goes through the process of being a Christian, they get more and more complex understandings of what, the life of Jesus meant, what heaven really means, what God really means, and so they start to grow and expand in terms of a variety of spiritual development. Now, instead of just approaching this from the point of view of this is a person developing beliefs, aren't they stupid? Let's try and take a slightly different tack. The concepts that these particular Christians are taking on board can be rather mind-blowing. It does not matter whether they're true or not. They're just as the Christians believe. All they have to do is to believe. Now, when they're going through the process of believing, they must be going through the process of some kind of intellectual or academic means of trying to work out what these strange and mind-blowing concepts must be. I mean, obviously, in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was God. Which, if you think about that enough, is actually quite trippy. Okay? It's because these ideas are trippy that they can provide a feeling of reverence if a person has gone through enough study. If the religious believer has not quite gone through enough study or enough contemplation, then they'll take that kind of low resolution, almost comic book understanding of what the faith is about. Alright? So that's the undesirable bit. I suppose that's the kind of understanding that I'm trying to attack, because it's low resolution understanding, it's pure belief, and it's not actually based upon any kind of reasoning. But then there's the other type who can just take on board these complex transcendental concepts, and with enough contemplation they could then create an odd mood. Now, what are odd moods? Odd moods are changes in states of consciousness. They're changes in states of thought patterns. Some odd moods can actually be measured using an EEG machine. So some of these more transcendental concepts, when taken on board properly, could be being used as a way of developing some kind of religious, rapturous, spiritual state. The last video I did the most recent video I did earlier on this morning on the subject of demonology, and mentioning the Lesser Key of Solomon, the preparatory prayer of the operator. That work of using the preparatory prayer of the operator is essentially going through a similar process as that of these particular Christians who are absorbing the transcendental ideas. So what we could roughly do is to say there's two polar extremes. One polar extreme is the one who chooses to believe in the kind of like comic book, low resolution, not very complex manner, both in terms of the occult and supernatural and New Age, as well as in terms of Orthodox religion. Then there's the other one who is eagerly going through the process of taking on board and intellectualizing about and trying to suss out these complex transcendental concepts, and using that and trying to absorb that into them as a means of getting a kind of like a trippy feeling. The trippy feeling is part of the way to a more advanced level of prayerful activity. I am hoping and I am aspiring to be a living embodiment of a third level of advance, whereby you're not perpetually in that tripped out state, or you're not perpetually in that simplistic state, but you can be objective and rational and turn these states of mind on when required, rather than, just like not really being there. So yeah, you do need to keep up religious study and work out which particular religious ideas you want to use in your own systems. Because it's like every single occult practitioner, every single religious practitioner is essentially not following formula. Alright? They may think they are, but they're not. Because everyone will do the same sort of thing slightly differently. Therefore, the umbrella terms of like Christian or occultist or magician or Jewish or Hindu or any of these fucking, labels can just be thrown away. And instead, what you do as like a practicing occultist is you actually search through like a tradition, find where the fucked up head shit is, find out where those transcendental concepts are, and you try and use them. And when I say use them, I mean when you go into your meditative state of mind, which you've learned through having done plenty of meditation, just as I mentioned in various other previous videos. Search through a lot of them. I know I've done a lot, but for crying out loud, just go to my profile, click on the videos button, and go through them all and find some which are related to meditation, so you can actually understand where I'm coming from. My God, I've had a lot of coffee today. Okay. And once you're in that meditative state of mind, then try and focus on one of those transcendental, trippy concepts, alright, and see what it does. Try and, do your chant, do your mantra, but try and think about the concepts a little more and a little more and a little more and a little more. And what you'll be doing is you'll be changing your mind. If you're doing the same meditation, whether it's of a trippy nature or an intellectual nature or whatever, for a long enough period of time, which, of course, the neuroplasticity phenomenon demonstrates is about 3 months, you will actually be changing the structure of your brain. Directly, deliberately, and purposely changing the structure of your brain to work with those patterns of thoughts, those patterns of mood, those patterns of ideas. And that's why we essentially need to do it. As New Agers, as occultists, we do need a certain quantity of fucked up trippy head shit, okay? But we also need to use it rather than to believe it. Now, hopefully I've made this a little clearer, and hopefully I have not made this as clear as mud. Anyway, good fortune and God bless. I'm knackered. Name's NickDutch, signing out. Good fortune and God bless to one and all.